the main thing that struck me about the US is the opportunities that exist just within education alone. Forget everything outside of that. It's very interesting that the liberal arts format which they have here provides a lot of opportunity, and you don't have to rush into any career or you don't have to study anything from the word go. You get a chance to sit back and take in a lot of different things before you make your final choice. And I think that was the main attraction, because I wasn't too sure on what I wanted to do as soon as I finished school. I think mainly the opportunities which exist in America. If I was to shorten my decision, I think it's a place where you can make a name for yourself. After studying here, you can go anywhere in the world and do whatever you want to do. I think the credibility of US schools would help me throughout that. So you got to ask yourself what you want to do with that education, and then you have to apply to the places which would best provide you with whatever you need. I think the thought process of it, not necessarily doing anything practical, the thought process started 2 years before I finished high school, which was, say, 2007. Mm-hmm. And I started thinking about where in the world I want to study and what kind of things I want to do. And I actually got advice from a family member that I should look into the US. Mm-hmm. And I went to the education center, and they advised me that it was a little bit too early to start looking into things 2 years in advance. Mm-hmm. So I think 1 year ahead is probably a wise decision. First thing I did is, because I didn't know where to look, I went to my educational advisor in Zimbabwe, and she told me to look on collegeboard.com. And I went on College Board and I typed in a lot of stuff, and it gave me a lot of answers, but they weren't the answers I wanted, unfortunately. So I ended up getting a book and going through it the old way and flipping through every page. And I knew I wanted to be on the East Coast. That was the main thing. And that's the first point, to decide where in the US you want to be, because there's so many schools to choose from that you can't just say, oh, I want to be anywhere. Mm-hmm. And then once I narrowed that down, I researched the schools and saw what they had to offer. And I also looked at the service that they provide. Like, some schools are slow in responding to emails, and the ones which were quick are the ones which drew me in. I think the education center in Zimbabwe provides a lot of statistical data on students who pass through the center and get to the US. And I think they collaborate with other satellite stations around the world. And they gave me a list of all the colleges in the US which provided financial aid to students, and how much they did, and the average which they provide for, I think, from the years 2006 till 2008. Mm-hmm. So that was really good, and it helped me cross off certain schools which I knew probably wouldn't provide any assistance. I can say Rebecca Mano from Zimbabwe, she was my education advisor, and Mr. Muchenje as well in Zimbabwe. They helped me a lot. They were there to give any advice. It was a lot easier than trying to look on the website, for instance. That human contact, it really helps, and I think they know their job really well. You can go with almost any question and they're able to answer it. If they don't know the answer, they find it for you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what made it really easy. Then after that, I have an older sister who did a master's degree here in the US. So she knew a lot about the process, and she was able to tell me what to do. I think it's important to choose a place where you think you're going to be happy, because going to college is more than just going to college. You have to live, and you have to also consider what life maybe on campus is going to be like, possibly weather conditions. Like, I know at the moment it's really cold, so I'm not happy with that, but it's not the biggest factor. There are lots of things. What is society in that area like? what are the things that they enjoy. Do they enjoy sports? Do they enjoy politics? Do they enjoy, and you have to try research maybe the city and see what they're into as well to narrow down your decision as well. There are a lot of requirements, and they seem to be really tedious, but I think when you get here and when it's all said and done, you'll realize why they do those things. They don't just do them to make life tough for you. Like, I know a lot of schools may ask for different essays, they have different extra forms, and those things are there for a reason. So the best advice I could give is probably organization. As long as you're organized and you work at it diligently, you'll get what you want. You can have the best recommendations in the world, you can have you can have so many things, but many other students can also have those things. And the thing that can set you apart is the essay. And even though it's really short, it was something that I thought over for days on end. It was really stressful, it wore me down mentally. I asked a lot of people questions, I got help from family members, they helped me on the essay in terms of advice, and I would say that's probably the most important part of your application. It can make or break it. I think the visa process is easy, but I say that with a smile on my face. It can be long and it can be very short, just depending on how your things are. If your things are in order, it's not a difficult process, it's not a long process. But if they're not, it can be extended to longer than you'd want. The Education Center provided a lot of documentation, and I actually attended a talk, and they explained to us everything that we would need to take to the visa interview, why we should take those things, the kinds of questions they ask, how you should present yourself, the kinds of things you should say, the kinds of things you shouldn't say, and I think that was very, very helpful. I was nervous when I woke up in the morning, but when I was sitting there, I saw a couple of people go before me and I saw what was involved, and then I calmed down, yeah. When I got my visa, a big weight was taken off of my shoulders, and there was a lot of things that I didn't have to think about anymore. I can say on the very first day when I arrived and I was putting my coat up, a lady walked up to me and she asked me my name. I said, I'm Geoffrey. And she said, oh, Geoffrey, it's nice to see you. I remember your emails. And then I can't remember who was standing next to her. Her name is Christina. And she said to me that, oh, I remember your emails. And she told her friend, this guy has been through a long process. And I think from the word go, because of that, I felt at home. I really didn't know what to expect, and a lot of people think it's very lonely at the beginning, and that kind of thing, when someone knows you even though they don't know you, it really makes you feel at home, and everybody is really helpful. They're ready to jump up and run around for you for the smallest things, so I felt very much at home. I think the way I'll answer it is not really what I didn't find, but it's more of what I found. A lot of people think that the US is going to be like the movies kind of thing, and when you get here, it's surprising that it isn't. You know, these are just everyday people, just like, you know, you and me, and they go about their daily lives almost in the same way that you do back home. But I think the thing that struck me the most is the fact that there's more of the basic things. That's the thing that struck me, and it really made me feel at home. Just the basics, things like running water is always there, electricity is always there. Those kinds of, well, as long as you pay your bills, but but those things, they're there. Food is there, and I think it's the most comforting thing.